What can I do today to make my product better? What can I do today to make my team's life better? And what can I do today to make my life better? If you've watched this show before, you know that I'm a great believer in prioritizing. And the questions I just presented you with are my very own time management and task prioritization drivers that I ask myself every single day. This is just one piece of my time management philosophy. And as you can imagine, there is a lot to discuss here because time management for product managers is indeed a challenge and even a struggle. As you know, we all have the same amount of hours a day, and unfortunately we can create more time even though we are in a constant feeling that 24 hours a day are just not enough. You get it right. This Ask Me Anything session is all about time management for product managers. Hello leaguers, and welcome to today's Ask Me Anything session, the place where talented and curious product managers like you get to ask us anything. So we invited you to ask us all your big and small questions about the subject, and even posted a poll on our LinkedIn page where we ask you to share your struggles with us. And we learned that 46% of you find work-life growth balance as your biggest challenge when it comes to the topic. So today we are going to teach you how to overcome the four: how to deal with deadlines, how to make time for your own self-growth, how to do time management related stakeholders management, and how to track everyone's process with ease. If you want to take part in the poll, please look for the link in the chat and vote. By the way, nice to meet you. I am Moriya Kassis, founder and general manager of Product League, and we help you to become the best product manager you can be. Product League is a mentoring program for product managers by product managers. We operate currently in 20 countries around the world, and we would love to get to know you. You are invited to come by our weekly live Ask Me Anything shows every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now we've got 3 talented, dedicated, and experienced Product League mentors to answer all your questions about time management for product managers. Let's bring them in. Please shout out a big hello to Benny Reich, VP Product at Perception Point and Product League mentor. Hello, Benny.
Hello, Moriya and everybody. Very good.
Very happy to have you here with us. Benny has over 15 years of experience in product management in various companies, products, and markets. He has launched and led product teams in startup in various domains, including cellular, industrial maintenance, automotive, and currently cyber. And if I'm not mistaken, this is your 4th batch with us. Is that correct?
I don't count anymore. So 4th, 5th, 5th, I don't know.
For life. So thank you very much, Benny, for joining us, and can't wait to learn with you and from you about product management and the time management aspects of it. Thank you, Benny. And we are moving to Rony Mozes. Let's welcome Rony to the floor, product manager at MediSafe and Product League mentor. Rony is a product management professional experienced in the healthcare industry and compliances. Her passion is to manage product roadmaps by focusing on a strong understanding of the market and the business needs while keeping an eye on the team's technical capabilities. How are you today, Rony?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. Always a
happy
pleasure.
to have you here with us. And worth mentioning, this is your 2nd batch with us as the mentor, and you've been a guest and you've been a mentee with us before, so it's the 3rd overall, and we just love having you here with us and can't wait to have this experience with you. Thank you, Rony. And yes, I'm sorry, you said thank you and I'm cutting you off.
Okay.
And last but not least, this is Itzik Adziashvili. Hello, product executive at CG Solutions and Product League mentor. Throughout his career, Itzik has been driven by his intellectual curiosity to find answers to the most pressing issues, whether it's finding the best restaurant or creating a product to solve human challenges. Leading cloud-based products and generating constant value to the market, you focus on the customer's pain points and ready to identify a strategic solution. 2nd time mentor with us. 2nd time on this show with us talking about, how to solve and answer the product management community challenges and questions. And how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks, Moriya. Excited to be here again.
Happy to have you here. So we are calling everyone to the stage. Worth mentioning that both Itzik and Benny, by the way, are wearing Product League t-shirts. Exactly. Each with its own design. Very, very proud of you guys. So how is it going to work? Guys, leaguers, when you register to this event, we gave you the opportunity to ask us anything you want about time management for product managers. We chose the questions that were most frequent, but also the questions that were exciting, interesting, and what we believe can help you to become the best product manager you can be. And we don't stop there. So at the end of the session, we'll also have an open Q&A where 3 experienced Product League mentors will answer the questions you submitted in the chat. With that in mind, you have 2 call to actions. 1, please show us some product love and like this video and subscribe to our channel or like this page wherever it is that you watch us. And submit your question in the chat, because unless we will know your questions, we couldn't answer them. So let us know what is on your mind and heart when it comes to this really big challenge of time management for product managers. And who knows, maybe these 3 magnificent mentors will give you the answers that you are looking for. Rony, Benny, and Itzik, what do you say? Is this the right time to start talking about time management?
Definitely.
Sure.
Amazing. Okay. So we are starting with the first question. It goes to you, Benny. We're starting with the day-to-day work. And Sunny, I love this name, is asking, it would be helpful if you could go into roles and responsibilities, how time management differs between junior, senior, and VP levels.
So I guess, the more senior you are, you need to keep more time unplanned, okay? Because you don't know what is going to happen. You need more time to think on strategy, on what will help others. So I think, in general, it doesn't differ so much, and that's a good practice for everybody. Just, make sure you keep enough time for not the daily things.
Yeah, and especially in product management, we know that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, including the things that we don't think about. And when you're, more senior, you have no one to save you. So I totally agree with you, Benny, and saving some spare time. It is a great, great practice. Thank you very much. And Itzik, Eyal has an interesting question to you. And he's asking, as there is a misconception that product managers need always to be available and attend all meetings, what's your best advice about making sure you are not fully on the meetings and you make sure that you actually have time for real product work?
Yeah, it's always a great challenge, and I think that the key ingredient for this kind of behavior is self-discipline. I will go through something, but it all starts from self-discipline and really put your focus on your important tasks. So we can start with saying no to offers, to meetings. If you don't have to be in the meeting, don't be there. It's fine to say no because your time is too valuable, and if you don't have any significant value to the meeting, then you can refuse to attend it, of course, nicely. I also like to usually shorten my recurring meetings. If it's like a status update, let's do it like for 15 minutes and not a full hour of meeting, because usually recurring meeting are just contains a lot of buffer time. So it's definitely best practice to shorten them. And the most important thing is to try to organize the information from the meetings as quickly as possible, and be disciplined about it. If you need to summarize the meeting and take your step notes, so do it. Be disciplined about it, be strict about it, and keep your notes, your follow-up, because basically it will be the best preparation for the follow-up after that.
I agree. Guys, Benny and Rony,
Yes.
as this question was submitted by, I think, 5 different leaguers, various versions of that, various names, but all with the same concern. I wonder if you two have anything to share on the wise words that Itzik shared with us.
Yes, definitely. So my answer would be trust and empowerment. Like nothing nothing is urgent that as a product manager you have to handle now. Everybody that has kids is always surprised when we are not available for them. Suddenly they are doing surprising things, right? So it's same with developers, same with QA, same with every member of your team.
And it's also a good practice to build your own product team, right? To delegate.
Yeah.
Benny, I love that answer. I'd also like to add, meetings don't have to be in increments of half an hour. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's legit to put that in your calendar and have people stick to that. The fact that half an hour is the calendar default doesn't mean we have to keep blocking half hours.
I'm there with you.
By the way, if you're using Google Calendar, then you have the feature of quickie meeting, and I think it's called speedy meetings, and it shortens like 5% of every meeting you're scheduling. So it's usually it's like a great practice.
I'm there with you guys. I love the tips that you shared. And we're staying with you, Rony, because Heather is a question to you. And she is asking, how much time do you allocate to self-development on an ongoing basis? What is your method to making sure this time is not sacrificed?
So to Heather and to everyone out there, you could spend hours and hours falling down the rabbit hole of TED videos and convince yourself that that's personal development. But personal development, like everything else, should have a goal, a clearly defined goal. And if you can, SMART goals. Decide what you want to achieve, when you want to achieve it, and put in blocks that are reasonable. If you want to learn something that's more in depth, put in 2, 3, 1 hour blocks in your calendar and stick to that for learning, because 15 minutes here with a cup of coffee and a few TEDs could turn into 2 hours. And have goals and define what you want to achieve, because your growth is controlled by you.
I love it. And, we are all here from the mentoring arena. Let's go this way. We're all strong believers in mentoring. So it's obvious that we all take time to either mentor or, or facilitate what's happening in the mentoring program. So I wonder and curious, how do you feel and think about mentoring as self-growth and allocating time to that? So as mentors, actually, do you think this is also an investment in yourself? And what do you think about it? And what do you think should a mentee or a mentee to be feel and think about finding time to be mentored?
I think that mentoring is also a path of growth. A lot of times our mentees come to us with questions or issues that we may have encountered, but we may have not. And a lot of times I find myself reading, doing research, preparing before meetings, after meetings. If my mentee leaves me with questions that I don't always have answers, I follow up with an email, maybe some links with the relevant reading materials so that he could keep on learning. So I think that as mentors, it's also an opportunity for us to learn. And I think in order to be a good mentee, you have to know that it's not limited to just your weekly, bi-weekly sessions, but also to put in the work between sessions. If your mentor gives you something to read up on, read up on it, allow yourself.
I'm so happy that you're saying that. I'm so happy. I'm so satisfied with that. Yes, absolutely, because it's a process, right? It's not like a one-time thing that you do. It is a process. Thank you very much, Rony. Benny and Itzik, the same question, because this is actually a big one. And as I mentioned, 46% of the voters in our poll chose the option of life, work, growth, balance or no balance issue as their biggest challenge. So Itzik, I see that you're nodding your head with pain. You know the struggle, and I want to know the tips as well.
Yeah, I'm just going with my head automatically. It became so serious.
I love it. Benny, anything to add, especially that, managing time is a subject that
Yeah,
close to your heart and stomach.
exactly, because and that's the point. Time management is not about time management. Okay, that's the key. There is nothing about time management in time management. At the end, and that's for life. It's all about prioritization, right? Like you cannot do everything as productive and very efficient. The key to have time for the things that are important for you, whether they are self-development, whether are the next thing in the product that you want to make impact and think about, is to make sure that you don't handle other things. Okay, so it's all about picking the things, make sure you have time for lunch. That's the best time. That's the most important. So it's about prioritization. Time management, it's all about prioritization.
I agree very much. And Rafael, another mentor that is in the crowd, yes, Itzik, I will be back to you in just one second, is also saying, thank you for your answers. I will also add that meetings should have some kind of agenda. So participants could decide if they are necessary for the meetings or not. And they are. They could prepare if needed. I'm sorry, it's too small here. If you don't understand what the meeting is about, don't be shy and ask. I very much agree. And Itzik, we are back to you.
Yeah. So just to add up on the key challenge of balancing your career and your personal life. So eventually, I think that one of the key factors for a good product manager is what Facebook calls growth personality, and eventually the ability to grow yourself and invest in other areas and not just the technical day-to-day tasks that we have is a key factor for a product manager. And eventually your career and your work-life balance, and you can think on yourself as the product, and eventually, as Ben said, it's a matter of prioritization. And when you do understand that everything is possible with the right prioritization, you just need to look at it on making the right decision for you, of course. When you have a clear goals for your own career, for your own balance, then you would achieve it. For example, I have a personal goal that every week I spend an amount of hours with my little girls, and I try to keep up with that and in a very strict manner. So it's a factor of putting your goals, like putting your goals for your career and putting your personal goals and assign them with like metrics. And according to that, it's basically like the regular PM work.
Yeah, we are a product as well, and we have to manage ourselves. Absolutely. And we're staying with you, Itzik, with a question from Vidi, and she's asking, I would appreciate tips on prioritizing my task and how to communicate that with others.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I would take it from a method that Amazon created. I think it started from Jeff Bezos, and I'm not sure, but I know it started in Amazon. They have a method of designing a product that they call PRFAQ, which basically means that you are writing the press release and the FAQ on the design phase of the product even before you started to develop anything, which basically forces you to think thoroughly on your goals, on what you want to deliver, what is the problem, who are the users, and like summarize everything in a short press release. And it's not as simple as it sounds, because writing the press release even before you design the product is very hard, but it's a good test to validate whether you have a good direction or you know what you want to solve. So when you do it as a basic task for before you are starting with like, and you can do it for every big feature or every new product, but when you do it properly, so your vision is straight, your goals are aligned, and from there it's very easy to communicate it for the other stakeholders, like for engineering and sales and marketing. And if you're already go to the first release as a product manager, so you can just send it to them, and the communication becomes very clear, because usually, product manager can be very like going into technical details in the beginning because they not really know how it's going to be developed. So it's like a lot of waving with your head. But when you're doing it in that method, so your vision becomes very clear, and it enables you to align the other teams as well.
It's all about alignment. I super agree with you, Itzik. So thank you very much for that.
And just a small thing to add, and for your personal like task and how you can arrange them. So I like to use like some approach that for every task I get, I immediately need to decide whether I'm going to do it right now, whether I'm going to do it later, whether I'm going to delegate it to someone, or I'm not going to do it at all. And in that way, you can easily arrange the task, and you usually can get the timing that you need to address them.
That's a nice one. Thank you very much for this tip. Thank you very much. And we are moving to a question from Amir, and it goes to you, Benny. And he's asking, how do you deal with difficult due dates of tasks?
Yeah, so it continued the previous answer. First, I make sure I don't have difficult due dates. Okay, like that's the first rule. Try to avoid making them.
Do you have only pick one?
Yeah, but many of the difficult due dates are not necessary. That's for sure. Okay, they come from commitment you shouldn't make. There's a lot of process in that. But then, once you build trust and empowerment, and you have once in a while a difficult due date, okay, it becomes very easy to say, okay, now I'm focusing on that. I let everything else drop. Okay, other people will handle that, and I have the time to handle this difficult due date. So it goes together.
Yeah, so you save it to when it's really, really necessary.
Yes, and it's not only to yourself, it's also for the team. When the team knows that they get a difficult due date, once in a quarter and not once every week, they will do what needed.
I'm going to challenge you for a second, okay? I highly agree with you, completely agree with you. But we also need to keep in mind that there are some juniors in the audience that they don't take the decisions like we do, okay? So what are our tips, and it goes to all of you, Itzik, Rony, and Benny, for dealing with deadlines when you're actually not the one who calls the shots? I'm challenging you, I warned you before, but you're actually the one that's received the deadlines, received the orders.
Moriya, I'd like to say a lot of times difficult deadlines don't fall on us just out of the blue. We know that they're approaching. We know that our pace isn't what we expected it to be. And I think that communication as early as possible is extremely important. If it's to the VP product, if it's to the customer success partner, to the client, to whoever we need. Maybe it's the head of an R&D, if they could allocate additional resources to help us reach the deadline. So I think that good communication, the second you realize that you might not be making the scheduled timeline, and that prevents you from reaching the last minute and, oh my God, I'm not there.
Yes, Benny, thank you very much, Rony and Benny.
So another tip, and remember we are product managers and not project managers, okay? And that's one of the values we have. There is in due date, there is two things. There is the date, and there is what we need to do, right? And always, always, always we can be less perfect, okay? Which means we can, MVP what we need to do, even if it's a document, even if it's, a development, and do less. And that's another way to make sure that we meet the deadline, but maybe with not the perfect thing we wanted.
And that's another way to look at the same equation. I like it. Thank you, Benny. Itzik?
Yeah, so something to add. Assuming that we have like a difficult deadline on the table that we need to address, so eventually we need to remember that we are the product manager, so we need to advocate for this deadline. And usually this deadline is not, it didn't come out of the blue. It has an agenda, and it has like a significant value because of timing for customers, for the market. And if it does have the significant value, so we as the PMs, we need to be the advocate and try to incentivize the working teams to understand the value. And when the team understands the timing is a factor, then usually it really it gives them a great advantage to handle this deadline and make it possible. So it's a matter of again aligning and communicating the benefits, also for the engineering team.
Absolutely, and it goes also to other subject that we sometimes discuss, like PRDs and documentation and methods of work. When our team, yes, Benny, you heard PRDs and you had to say something. I know you already. Kidding. So it goes to other processes as well, right? When there is communication and we don't just follow orders, and we actually make sure that the team as a whole understand why a thing was decided on and why we choose one path over the other or one deadline over the other. This makes a big change and difference. I agree with you all. And we are moving to a different question. It goes to you, Rony. It comes from Luis Felipe. And his is asking, what could help to be more efficient when working on two different products? It happens.
Yes, it does. Not very often we have tasks that are similar in nature. If we do, then grouping them together is usually helpful. But like I said, that doesn't usually happen when you need it. So delegating tasks and prioritization, especially when you're prioritizing, find out where you are blocking other people and count that into your prioritization, because you don't want to spend time on one task while you're blocking another team. And sometimes that makes all of the difference.
That's a big tip. And I'll take it even further. And I'll say that you also need to start with the things that you may be blocked by others and make sure that no one will block you. This is also a part of the prioritization. Yeah, I love it very much. Thank you, Rony. And now, unless any one of you has anything to add, we are moving to a very important question that goes to all of you. It comes from Vivek and many others that actually submitted the same question. And he's asking, how do you prioritize time between execution, research, and documentation? And Benny, do you want to start?
So it goes against to what kind of impact you want to make. I don't think there is a rule of I need to spend on this and that 30%. At every time you need to think, where do I want to spend my time? And it doesn't rely only on you, but also on your team. Like if you have a team that is doing great documentation, maybe you need to spend 5% and you can work on research. If you have a team that can work on research, you can spend on execution. So you need to see where it does work and need your help, and where it doesn't. There is no rule for that.
Okay, like it. Itzik?
Yeah, so just to expand what Benny said, because he really nailed it. It's the impact, and you need to focus on impact. It's not a matter of just documentation, research, or execution, because you also have like data analysis and customer meetings and sales meetings, etc. You have like an endless list of potential tasks. So eventually, you need to focus on the task that would give you the best impact for the product. And I can tell from personal experience that I had like full weeks that I focused only on documentation or only on data analysis, because it gave me the best impact for that period. So it's a matter of you don't have like a magic formula. It's kind of an out. So you need to use your product guts in order to really prioritize the relevant task.
Use your product guts. I love it. Thank you very much, Rony.
It's for the next short.
Exactly.
Find methodologies that support one task to do the other. So I know that when I research, I organize my notes in such a way that later it becomes my documentation, and my documentation almost writes itself. I just have to clean it up. And there are numerous ways of organizing notes, research methodologies for organizing notes, and you'll find things that, create your specs for you, create your documentation, find a method that works for you, and you'll see that it cuts out a lot of work later on. And if you're organized, then that really helps.
I love it. Thank you very much. And now to the most current question out of all. Rinat is asking, any tips for a healthy routine to work from home? I usually start my day with a to-do list, but it's so easy for me as there are so noisy. It's so not easy for me. There is a no missing here, as there are many disruptions around. And I have to say that this is something that we hear so frequently from our mentees. It's a struggle. So what we're going to do here is not only to have the answer from each one of you. Let's get even more personal and share our own stories and our own way of dealing with things and create something more unique and talk based here, because it is something that I know that many product managers all around the world struggle with every day currently, more than ever. And Itzik, let's start with you.
Sure. So I like to follow some basic tips, but basically it all starts with proper plan for your day. You need to plan your day. You need to block times. When you need to block time for work, you need to block times for breaks, and you need to follow them, because it's very easy to plan a schedule for a day and be loose with it, because you're at home and and you wanted to continue with the next meeting. But it's very important to follow that the initial plan. So I like to start my day with a plan, and of course I need to communicate it for the rest of the house, for my wife and for the girls, because everyone needs to know the schedule that they can interrupt me, and the schedule that no one can interrupt me, and it's easy for that, because when you can assign a dedicated time for for your work or for important meetings, and everyone knows it, but they also know when are the times that you would be with them. So it's it aligns everyone for the schedule that you are trying to get. And of course, it's not perfect. You will always get some interruptions, but it reduces the amount of interruptions from the environment. So tight work schedule, when you start, when you end, the work day, when are the breaks. Another tip is to avoid half work or shallow work, like shallow tests. If you are studying something, try to finish it, because it's very easy to be interrupted when working from home with something from the house, with something from colleagues, etc. So if you are studying a test, you need to aim to finish it and properly. And of course, it's very important to do some retrospect on your day and see if your initial plan was good enough, and if not, then you can criticize yourself and do it better the following day.
True. All great tips. Benny.
So this time became very different from this same question a year ago, right? A year ago, working from home, as Itzik said, to make it healthy, you just needed to plan your day. And my tip for planning the day is plan it in the evening, not in the morning. Plan it before, then you're relaxed, you have it planned. Everything will go wrong anyway, but at least you have some plan that you don't need to wake up and see all your work clustered. But really, the tips for these days, because we are all working from home all day, every day, is that there are many things that can be done not in your usual environment, right? Especially if you live in a house that you have a garden or a porch, right? You can sometimes make a meeting outside. That's healthy for you. A lot of time of thinking, right? Or calls, not meetings, but calls you have to make. You can go for a walk. Not everything needs to be done from the room closed, hearing the kids and everything. So that's
a
my
healthy tip for you.
Yeah.
It's not just a productive tip for you.
Exactly. But these days that's the most important.
Yes. Spot on. Thank you, Benny. Rony. And I'm going to say something for a second. You're all parents, but Rony, you're a mom. And I'm going to say something that may not everyone agree with me, but I think this time is challenging even worse to moms. So I think that all female product managers, and especially parents, product managers in the audience will appreciate your perspective, your honest perspective about the subject.
Just to add, because you said it, I'm all day at home. My wife is in a health organization outside all day. Okay.
Nothing against that. Nothing against that, really. Much appreciation is lying here. But yes, it is a little more challenging for moms.
It's not a support group.
So, yes, I have 2 kids under the age of 4, both at home. This year has been extremely challenging. I think the most important thing is don't beat yourself up if your productivity isn't 100, 110%. As product managers and as superstar product managers, we expect to be able to take on the world. And yeah, we could do this too. And we could take that project. And oh yeah, you need someone to take that as well? I've got it. But I think this year has taught us that we're all in the same boat, but our circumstances aren't the same. And an empathetic boss will understand this is a challenging time, and it's the opportunity to learn to ask for help or ask for what we need. Sometimes it's okay to offload something onto a coworker who's maybe in a different situation. They have older kids or they don't have kids. They have a bit more free time. And in a year, 2 years, think what is really, really going to matter. Is anybody going to notice that I didn't take on an extra task or, an extra project? Or are my kids going to remember that when they were at home from daycare, every day I cooked for them and I had lunch with them? And those are the things that are really going to matter in the long run. So I think that, being able to know that our circumstances aren't exactly like someone else's, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to take on a little less. And, we're all superstars, just surviving this time.
Exactly. So. Exactly. I love the attitude. I will add something of my own. To me, one of the biggest costs when it comes to work, it's switching cost. When I start one thing and I find myself 5 or 30 minutes later, needs to switch to something else. And then when I go back to this original plan that I had in mind of working on something, I have to spend another 5 minutes just to recall everything. So with that in mind, I have 2 rules. 1, I block days of the week for doing specific tasks. Like, for example, if I'm now working on a product that I'm highly involved in its marketing aspects, okay? So I will block a day for most of these tasks. So I know that during the day, I'm not switching from marketing to R&D to sales to customer support as much as possible. It's not possible to do it all the time, but if sometimes in some parts of the funnel of creating a product, it is possible, and it's highly recommended. The other thing is that when I'm at home and I'm working, I imagine that I'm at the office, so it doesn't matter what happens at the house, I don't touch it. This is not a time to do any household task, because if it was a normal day and if I was at the office, so I couldn't do it, so it will stay. Just if it was a normal day. So switching costs is actually one of your biggest costs, product managers. Try to save your attention to the things that matter and don't start one thing, go to the other. And of course, listen to the great tips that came to you from Itzik, Rony, and Benny. And now we are moving to another interesting question. It comes from Siva Kumar. And he's asking, I hope it's he. If it's not, I'm mistaken, and sorry for that. Can you please recommend digital tools to improve productivity? Who would like to start first?
I'll be happy to start.
Let's go with you, Rony, and then.
Thanks. I really like Nir Eyal's Indistractable. I think that it's really, really important to be able to focus, to be able to tune the world out. We have so many push notifications on our phone, on our computer, our desktop, our laptop. And like Pavlov's dogs, we hear that beep and we have to look, and it distracts us, even if just for a minute. We think it's for a minute, but like Moriya said, the cost of distraction is really bigger than what we think it is. And there are so many tools that you could use to turn all those notifications. I just go one by one and I shut them all off. And throughout my workday, I don't get WhatsApp messages, SMSs. There's actually a setting on Android phones that you could define people who, if they call you X times in 5 or 10 minutes, then it'll go through. So, if my husband calls me 2 times within 10 minutes, then it's got to be an emergency and it'll go through. All other calls, they don't go through. And just being able to turn everything off, because the cost of switching is just too great.
And it's okay for your SLA not to be as good of your customer support team. That's totally fine. I like this, Rony. And we are sharing in the chat a link to a webinar that Nir Eyal had with us just 2 years ago, talking exactly about that, about his book, Indistractable. And you are more than welcome to watch it and learn more about what Rony just shared with us. Thank you very much, Rony. Itzik, what is your tip?
Yeah, so 2 basic tips, and of course, those are my own professors, but I believe that each one of us can find the best tool for him, or it's just a matter of picking the right one, because there are a lot of tools out there. So I like to use a Kanban board for my own task. It helps me to prioritize, to pick the following task, and to really be on top of my deliverable. And the second thing that I would like to recommend about is something called the Pomodoro technique. It's some sort of technique that some Italians called, I think, Cirillo created, which basically helps you to be focused on your work. It's like it's a technique that you are working 25 minutes on a task, 5 minutes break, and you are doing this circle for 4 times, and after the first time you can take like a 30 minutes break, and you have a lot of online tools that helps you to follow this structure, and basically it gives you the ability to be focused on your task and really dedicate the time for them, and also take the proper breaks. And for me, it was very effective for me to like manage my work. So you can try it, and I know a lot of people are using this technique, so it's very good. But as I said, there are a lot of techniques out there. Just find your own style and go with it.
Yeah, and Itzik's got your back, and you can find links to these techniques, to the Pomodoro technique, in the chat. And now, Benny.
As usual, I would not recommend a specific tool, because different people need different tools. I would say, like, if you're looking for a tool, remember Facebook, LinkedIn, that's a lot of great places to find the right tool, right? And meet with your college and ask what they are using. And remember that the tool is just a tool. Okay, that's the tip. So it's not about the tool, it's about what you want to achieve with the tool. Once you understand what you want to achieve, okay, for Rony, shutting down notification, that's great. For me, that would kill me. So, we're a different person. So each one of us needs to find the right tool based on what he needs.
That's right. And it's the time to remind the audience that we are waiting for them to submit their questions for the Q&A that is starting in just 2 seconds in the chat. And we're starting with Rafael. who is asking, in your calendars, are there empty slots or is it fully booked?
It's fully booked with empty slots. Like I have slots of break, I have slots of like doing something inside the home. So it looks like fully booked, but it's just because I'm blocking everything. Like my breaks and my lunch are also blocking the calendar.
Love it. Rony and Benny, do you hold the same technique or do you use it differently?
So I have the advantage of working in startup. I have a lot of empty slots. It doesn't mean they are empty, but we have less meetings, so definitely there are a lot of empty slots.
Like it. Rony, anything to add?
I also have a lot of empty slots. I do find that if people request a meeting with a half-hour break before another meeting, or leaving me a small half-hour slot, a lot of times I'll request that they shift it down half an hour if possible, because I do prefer meetings to be back-to-back, not to create those small windows. So that's my
Great,
technique.
thank you. Thank you very much. And we're continuing to the second question from Raphael, who is asking, when do you plan your next day? So Benny, you already told us that you are doing it the night before.
Yeah,
right?
Usually, yes.
Yeah, that's what you said. I'm just recalling that. If you have anything to add, this is the time. And Itzik and Rony, what is your way of planning your day?
I'm with Benny. Evening before.
Yeah, me too. Though not evening, it's more towards the night, but yeah.
Who has evening these days?
Yeah,
What is
yeah,
evening?
exactly. Yeah, but usually it's like in the end of the previous day.
Can you share the way that you do it, the practice? Do you start with just the way, and it goes to all of you, just, you going over a list, or you're just brainstorming with yourself, or you're starting with the things that you didn't complete this day, or the things that you need to accomplish as fast as possible or as soon as possible? What is your method to choose what are the things that you are going to start working on tomorrow or continue working on tomorrow, and how do you actually prioritize that in terms of what to start with?
So it depends on the period and how crowded my period. When I have a more leisure period, I plan less and let things happen. When there is a very crowded period, it actually starts end of Saturday. So end of Saturday, you plan the week, okay? And you look, what's important, what I want to achieve this week, where does it goes in the days, and then at the end of the day, I've seen once, and sometimes I use it, sometimes not, but I actually have a trailer for today, next day, next week, okay, something like that, and then I can move things. And it doesn't help always because things get more into that, but it helps a little.
A little something, and it can go a long, long way. Thank you very much, Benny. Rony and Itzik, what is your method on choosing what to put in your list, on your list of tomorrow's tasks?
Yeah, so I like to use the calendar to plan my day, and usually I'm starting with the important events of the day, like if I have any external meeting or some meeting or event during the day that it's like a must-have. So it will be the base for the day. And once I finish with like the compelling meetings or the ones that I have to attend, or there's no way, there's no flexibility there, then it leaves me the slots to plan my personal time, to plan the one-on-one meetings, which usually I'm very sensitive about it, that the one-on-one meetings, whether if it's with my employees or with my managers or colleagues, I'm very sensitive about it, that they won't be pushed around. And usually after that, the time slots that are left are very minimal. So I'm trying to be dynamic with them, but what works for me is using the calendar usually.
And this is why you have to make sure you only attend the meetings you have to take part in.
Definitely.
Rony?
I'm a bit old school. I have a notebook, a reusable notebook. And every evening I open up a new page. I take 2 or 3 of the things that I need to do. I put them on the top of the page, and I don't put anything under that because I know that there's always going to be more. And the next morning I start with those tasks, and as things come in, they enter the queue. And at the end of the day, 2 or 3 of the things that need to get done the next day will move on to the next page. All the rest will get erased.
Like it. I'm there with you. I'm old school as well. I'm old fashioned about that. And I also use a marker, and I have my own signs of what to be prioritized more with stars and circles, and there are arrows there. So yeah, and actually there are a few researchers that show that when you do it traditionally with a pen and a piece of paper, you process the task better because you're more involved with the actual writing of that and prioritizing of that. So I like to see that there is a fellow old schooler here with me. Thank you, Rony.
There's something very satisfying about putting a V through something.
Yes, exactly, much more than on the digital tools. You can't have the same satisfaction there. I agree with you. Before we are moving to the closing part where you share your tip with us, I want to challenge you guys a little more. And I want to ask you a very personal question. You are not ready for it because you don't know that it's coming. What was your biggest time management mistake that you did, or you still do? It has to do either with the way you think about it, the way you operate about it, things you're not just as good at, anything around that. I can start, and this is something that Benny knows, that sometimes I plan my whole day, but I forget to block some time to things that are also matter and important, like eating. So this is one thing that I know personally, that I can accomplish everything that is work related on time, but very, very, very easily forget about other things that are also important. So if you are keen to share with us your mistakes or things that you've learned through the years about yourself or about our domain when it comes to the don't of product managers and time management, what these things will be.
So for me, what I learned is always prioritize tasks that others depend on me. Okay, our intention as people is to excel in our task, right? We like to excel in our tasks, so usually most of the people prioritize their tasks. But if you want to make an impact, and when I was a young product manager, I was not doing that, and today I do that. I always prioritize things that block other people, because even if it means that tasks that I'm responsible for will be delayed.
That's a big one. Thank you very much, Itzik.
Yeah, so one of the important lessons I learned throughout the years is the planning phase, especially the planning for meetings or for like important presentation. As a product manager, I think it's a critical factor, because when I started, I had a lot of occurrences that I came to a meeting not fully prepared, and it was fully because I didn't assign enough preparation time, whether it's like technical preparation time to prepare the presentation or the data or the graphs that you want to present, or just like getting into the state of mind or for the next meeting. Because, for example, you can be in a customer meeting, and the follow-up meeting would be a team meeting, and you are coming to them with like different state of mind, and each one of them needs the proper preparation and the proper self preparation that you need to come with. So doing your homework, being prepared, and assigning time for it, it's very important, I think.
Agreed. Rony.
I think I've already said it, but I'll say it again because I think it's really important. When you're at work, be present. When you're not at work, allow yourself to disconnect. I many days would leave work early at 4 o'clock to pick up my kids, and 4 to 8 o'clock I would try to answer Slack messages on my phone, but I wasn't giving my kids the attention that they deserved, and I had given some, excuse my French, half-assed answers on Slack that really weren't worthy of what I should be answering. And honestly, if people are trying to contact me at those hours and they know that 2 days a week I pick up my kids and I spend the afternoons with them, it's okay to disconnect. And I reconnect at 8 for another hour to follow up on emails, on messages. And then I could really answer like I should be answering. And whether it's time with my kids or even working out twice a week, I take an hour in the morning to work out. And, if I let my boss call or one of my coworkers and they're asking questions and I'm busy and I'm trying to get them off the phone, it's just, it's better ignore in an hour. I'll answer them. Everything will be okay. We have to take care of ourselves before we could be good at what we do, before we could take care of others. There's a reason they say put your own mask on first before you attend to your kids. And that's true with everything. So, this year has taught us a lot. It's taught me a lot.
Yeah, it is a big lesson this whole year. Hopefully this lesson will end soon. Also from our viewers, back-to-back meetings without breaks. This is another mistake that we should all avoid. And with that in mind, and with the topic in mind, it's time to us to talk about prioritization, because we are product professionals. We all know that it's all about prioritization. So I'm going to challenge you again and ask you, from all these super important and even critical things and factors that we mentioned today, what is this one thing that you want everyone in the audience to remember and do differently tomorrow morning? Rony, we're starting with you.
Prioritize your reputation and your work relationships. I said earlier, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to tell people that, you can't take on something else. But if you're known for doing good work, if you're honest and you're open and you don't try to cover up the fact that, you can't handle everything, because we don't necessarily have the ability to handle everything and be teachers and parents and full-time babysitters, cooks, cleaners, everything. It's, a good relationship with the people that you work, openness, honesty, and I think that's important. And not only during Corona times, any time of the year.
Wise words that come from the heart and go to the heart. Thank you. Itzik.
So for me, I think the best tip is self-discipline, because it does matter what you prioritize, but eventually you can always like recalculate your prioritization and change it if needed. But I think a key factor is be self-disciplined about it and really be keen about it and open with yourself. Like if you did a good job with the prioritization, and if not, then you need to understand it and really be open for critique and for self development. So I think that self-discipline, like be disciplined on prioritizing not like the sexy task, but the really important one, even if it's like not so desirable task. So if you really be disciplined with yourself, eventually you can accomplish a better results with it.
That's correct. Thank you very much, Itzik. And Benny.
So, just like product, you want to make a big change in your prioritization and not a small change. So one of the ways to do it is start looking retrospectively on your day or week and judge what made a difference, okay? Because when you do that, you will discover usually that this 2 minutes in the corridor that you sat and drank coffee with someone made a bigger difference than all your 9 hours work of making something efficient, right? So gradually, by looking back and see, you know, where did I make a difference today? Okay, that made a big difference to my team or the product. On the long run, it will make you work totally different. Okay.
I'm there with you. I'm there with you completely. Thank you, Benny. These were Itzik Adziashvili, Product Executive at CD Solutions and Product League Mentor. Rony Mozes, Product Manager at MediSafe and Product League Mentor. And Benny Reich, VP Product at Perception Point and Product League Mentor. I am Moriya Kassis. This is Product League. Thank you so much for watching us. We can't wait to see you in our audience at tomorrow's event. Look for the link in the comments. Until then, go league it up. Thank you, leaguers, for watching us, and even a bigger thank you, Itzik, Rony, and Benny. I had such a pleasure having you on our stage, and it's just fun having you with us as mentors as well. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, Moriya. Pleasure as always.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.